Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto video. And I just found this analysis by Fury Trading, which is really spot on and really quite interesting. So today we're going to take a look at that, plus of course a lot more. But make sure you press the freaking like button if you are enjoying the daily crypto videos. And also, my question of today is, did you buy today's dip? Or are you letting this one slide and waiting for a bigger one? Or let me know in the comment section down below. So, having said that, what a day, huh? Well, this guy, Fury Trading, says Bitcoin's moment of truth short-term analysis. Bitcoin is approaching a trend-determining area currently, namely the 40K resistance. This resistance area is of great importance for the near-term trend direction of Bitcoin and therefore the crypto market as a whole. The reason why this resistance area is so important is because Bitcoin is currently on its way to form a head and shoulders pattern, a classical bearish reversal. In case the price fails to breach through the 40K today, I'm afraid we might fall back towards the bottom support line of the channel and potentially even lower. So that's what he said, right? This was a couple of hours ago, May 27th, so yesterday, but he said this, I'm not exactly sure what time, but most likely around 2 p.m. my time. So that's been about, let's say, 30 hours ago. Let's call it 30 hours ago. You know what happened though? A little bit after he wrote this, once more on a 15-minute chart, he said basically we can either come back from the shoulder, so making a shoulder, head and shoulders pattern, or basically come back to make another high at basically the trend line, right? So basically making higher highs and higher lows following along with the trend line. What do you think happened? It's interesting. This is the 42K resistance from January, a little while ago, as you can see right here. What happened was exactly this. We fell from the shoulder of technical analysis. I'm not sure exactly if my computer broke down there for a little second. Let me just quickly say again once more just to make sure. The head and shoulders... So all of a sudden, my recording thing, it says the timer, right? And the timer stopped for a little second, and then after 5 seconds, it continued on. So I'm not exactly sure if it just cut me off or what exactly happened. But I was just saying, it stopped. The head and shoulders pattern came out perfectly, and the fact that it just broke down from exactly that point forward, does make me sometimes believe that TA is actually the best thing in the world. It's like, wow, like what? It's just really, really freaking amazing. So from this perspective, let's quickly see what else he said. A bullish scenario would be for Bitcoin to pierce through the resistance and make a new local high, higher than the current head area. Ideally, we would continue the bullish trend past 42K, but that is uncertain. 42K is currently the main target to beat for Bitcoin. It's the January high, which we need to beat in order to resume the bull market in the short term. Happy trading. And he says, well, a little bit later that day, strong 50-minute candle breakout through 40K resistance, next stop 42K. Well, that is what it kind of seemed like, right? We broke past the shoulder. Things were looking really interesting for a couple of minutes, couple of hours, until we didn't even get to the head. We did get to the head, the most important part. So the next comment was, seems that we're facing a fake out. If we go below 38.5, we're going back to 38.5, we're going back to 37.5. And that was the case. We went below 38.5, and again we went to 37.5, and he later said, update the analysis, a new post, check it out. Let's quickly see what he said right there, right? So a couple of hours later, 8 hours ago, he posted, again, the head and shoulders pattern. He put this analysis right here, and he said, well, again, we can kind of come back and bounce from the 36.5K support, which is basically the area that we previously hit right there just before hitting the head, and then come bouncing back up towards 40K or some resistance in that area, or bounce even lower for a previous level at 34. And what happened is rather interesting. It wasn't really akin to any of what he said. It basically came to the 36.5K support, bounced a little bit lower at about 35,000, which he didn't really denote. However, that's a really big psychological barrier, so we can kind of, state here that since it hit 35,000-ish, that's just basically the point which it wanted to hit because it's a round number. And now came back up, and most likely, but that's basically what we're waiting for, is going to bounce here at 36.5K and maybe get back to this little resistance now, or support to resistance at about 37.9 or something like that. Once more for Bitcoin. Why do I cover Bitcoin right now? Why am I covering that? Well, because thinking about it, whatever is happening here at these Bitcoin prices is ultimately going to decide the majority of what XRP is doing. I've called out before, I'm going to call it out again. I think XRP can move completely independent of Bitcoin if it is regarding the lawsuit. But right now, if we don't get any lawsuit update, it's going to be following Bitcoin. And even the executives from Ripple try to argue that in their lawsuit that XRP follows along with that, like any other crypto. And it does, in my opinion, too. So he said a couple of other things, though. Since I made that post last night, the price has failed to stay above an important 40K resistance and bounced downwards. Since the price has fallen straight through the channel support, orange, we're now facing another strong correction for Bitcoin. That is right here at about 37.5K or so, which we needed to break. So for today, there's two possible scenarios which could occur. Either we bounce from 36.5 support, located at the first touch of the channel support, or we fall further towards 34K. In case we manage to stay above 36.5, I'm confident the Bitcoin will see some bullish price action over the weekend, potentially seeing 40K again soon. The bearish scenario would be that Bitcoin will continue falling, targeting 34K in the coming 24 hours. 34K is an important area because it's located at the at the shoulder of the inverse head and shoulder pattern that we saw on the 23rd of May. Since sell-offs are notoriously volatile, we might potentially go lower than 34K, making the path clear for a push towards 31 and constructing a double bottom. So about this part, I would say, you see what I mean, guys? Whenever I tell you that TA is not something which you can fully rely on, it is because it is. There's, I would say almost analysts out there right now has been wrong quite often, and that's because whenever you're trading, you'll be wrong very often. You'll be wrong very, very, very often because you follow a set of rules. The thing is just to be right more than you are wrong, or to have a strategy where even though you're right 50% of the time, well, your profit is bigger than the loss you're making on these other ones. So it averages out positively. And that's also the thing here. Fury or anybody can make these articles on TradingView and say 34 or 36.5. It doesn't have to happen. And you can always stretch the story again to make it so it sounded like you predicted that, to make it sound like you thought exactly that was going to happen. And that's what a lot of people do on YouTube as well. And on TradingView, exactly the same thing. So in this case here, he updated it a little bit later saying, big candle bearish breakout through the 36.5K support. Might face a strong sell-off today. Next target 34K. It's just a target. It's just a miscellaneous number. It's just one of the supports, one of the numbers. Is it really significant? Debatable. You might say so. It's just a level that we've hit before and saw some action at. Do we have to bounce any of those points? Obviously not, as we see. Huge 1 hour engulfing candle at around 35K resistance. Massive buying from whales. Engulfing candles are a classic trend reversal pattern. Let's see if Bitcoin can maintain the upward momentum, and it did. Engulfing basically means you have a red candle here, specifically to the, again, you have a downtrend going on. An engulfing basically means it engulfs the entire candle whole, and this was a really big one. That's usually a big reversal because, well, there's a lot of action happening in there. There's a lot of people buying it up, and this is basically a good bottom, and this reversal is showing that. This is exactly what happened, though. We bounced from that point forward. That was the big candle, which sparked the revival, and right now we are most likely going to build at this 36.5K support, but let us see, right? This is a 15-minute chart. Let us see. I'm waiting. I am checking it out constantly. XRP right now trading at about 90 cents or so. We are still in profit on our shorter term trade. Let's see. All right, let's see what's going to happen. Still excited about everything. I don't really care what's happening, as you guys most likely know. We'll make money regardless. And if we don't make money right now, we'll make it when XRP gets a verdict in the lawsuit. So whatever, I'm still pretty damn excited. Then guys, mind you very much so, crypto will only keep getting bigger. So even though short term might at some points look negative, crypto will only keep getting bigger. Here's a study that says 4 in 10 consumers have already invested in crypto. To be honest, we don't actually need that many new factors that get more people into crypto. Like, for example, PayPal is already in. Robinhood is doing so much. All those companies have already kind of adapted it. So people who wanted to get into crypto now have an easy way in. And since PayPal is allowing withdrawals and stuff like that, it's going to keep growing. But we don't really need any of these incentivizers anymore because the majority of people know about crypto already. What's now needed is proper regulation and, I guess, proper ways to get your crypto out of those platforms, which they're working on. Because, for example, Apple and PayPal right now both are getting even more and more interested in it because they see the potential. So that's definitely something interesting that's going on. Then a little side note. We saw a lot of speculation about Dubai Coin. And as you guys most likely know, right now I'm in Dubai. I went to, of course, check it out a little bit. Dubai Coin relaunched an elaborate phishing scam, government says. All you have to know is that if there was a Dubai Coin made or going through, I would have told you about it, first of all. And you would have definitely seen it in billboards, seen it in papers everywhere because they would make it a big deal. There would be so much money in this coin then that you'd be mesmerized. There would be so ridiculously much promotional effort that you could not have missed it. There would be so many official statements out there, you would not have missed it. Since this is just a little bit in the background, a little bit, not official, not for blah, 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 it was obviously a scam. And right now the government has also explained it's not real, and the price collapsed nearly instantly, as obviously, this is so stupid, but whatever. All right, and then something, guys, you know, on the channel here, I don't like to talk people down, all right? But I do think that news is very important for crypto prices, as I obviously cover the news every single day. And I personally want to kind of give this guy a little heads up of you know, calming down the BS a little bit. So Jack the Rippler here, I used to really follow him quite often with a lot of the things he posted because he used to have a lot of good articles. He used to share them, you know, quite quickly. However, his Twitter has turned to absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. And again, I don't like to say that. I do not have anything against you as an individual, my man. Please just fix your stuff, because what I think you're doing here is misinforming the people ridiculously heavy. And there's a couple of examples for you guys. One, 90% of the wallets have less than 2,000 XRP. You are an early adopter. This makes absolutely no sense. 90% of the wallets having less than this might forever stay the exact same way. This does not matter whatsoever. You're not necessarily an early adopter because a lot of the wallets have a small amount of XRP. Theoretically speaking, if every single XRP went to $10,000, this means that 90% of the wallets have less than, you know, 10,000 times 2,000. Okay, so I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily say anything. So that's wrong info as an example. There's a couple good ones. There's a couple shares, obviously. Here, if XRP is going to be backed by gold, then the price will reach $50,000 in the near future. Okay? I don't know why you would post that. Let me know your price prediction for 2030. I think XRP will be around $10,000. And I think that's good enough for an example, I guess, to just show you guys that it's interesting what he's put up. It's interesting, and I think it's just giving people the wrong idea. So, for example, saying that XRP in the next 9 or 8 to 9 years is going to hit $10,000 per coin, you think so? It might be that he's honestly thinking so, but if you have that expectation, guys, please reconsider. Because $10,000 per XRP in the next 8-9 years, it's heavy. You know, it's really heavy. May you think so? Yes. Should you have that as an expectation? I don't personally think so. And the same thing for this. It's just a far-fetched theory backed by nothing. It's just a number thrown up into the air. What is it backed by? Nothing really. And then again, see, there's a lot of, you know, just news he's posting. I even like some of his posts because there's good stuff in there. But I guess the two things which I just showed you are a good example of people either misinforming or giving the wrong expectation. And I think that's also a good part of why the people in my comment section are. Here's another one. Ripple has already 80% of the central banks to bridge CBDCs. XRP is a done deal. Where did you get that number from? I'm not exactly sure how you get to 80% officially confirmed. So XRP Shark here says that's actually not true. They only stated that 80% of the central banks are experimenting with CBDCs, not that these central banks have any formal partnership to Ripple. And another guy says, stick to your TA, fundamentals is in a different beast. Didn't spend 3 years going down a deep dive rabbit hole only to gamble. XRP will bridge it all. And that might be so. That might definitely be so. I personally am really bullish on XRP, as you guys most likely know. But this is not confirmed. So it's not already, it might get there, and it will get there, I personally think, right? However, also mind you very much so that Ripple will most likely not be the only guy to do all this CBDC stuff. So I would say if you're talking about a bridge, you're good. But if you're talking about Ripple already having 80%, yeah, okay. Let's quickly see it again. Ripple has already 80% of the central banks to bridge CBDCs. Maybe they're talking about the fact that, I guess we can see some validity in this claim, I guess. He's maybe trying to say that 80% of the central banks have adopted CBDCs, and since Ripple is really working on that, XRP is going to bridge, like, you know, all of that could definitely be. But you guys get my idea, right? I just think if you're putting something on Twitter for the XP community and it gets so much attention, which he gets, make sure it is right info. And even though some things can be a little bit edgy, right? Some things can be a little bit hopeful, for example, like this one. XRP is the most efficient tool to bridging currencies between countries. To bridge these currencies, XRP needs a high price. I'm now talking about $100 or $1,000. It can't be dirt cheap. This is, in my opinion, really bad to say, but it's not, you know, something which I would not recommend you to do. Because this type of stuff is just wishful thinking. You're not really doing any harm. Because he's just saying, hey, it's so efficient and it needs to be at a higher price. And I'm not sure if it's going to be $100 or $1,000. I think way more. That's cool. Right? Because you're not really giving up an expectation in the same sense, because he's using, for example, the quote from David Soares, the CTO and co-creator of the XP Ledger as well, that it can't be dirt cheap to process all this money. There's some validity to the claim. I'm just saying, find the balance here and make sure you're not, you know, misleading people with some of this stuff. That's basically it. All right. Once more, not against anything against him as an individual. I think he's posting a lot of, you know, good contributions and whatnot, but some of the posts, it's a little bit, I get so many questions, guys, even from XRP Productions, that guy. So many people ask me, Dusty, is this real? even though it says satire in his profile, people just, they see it and they're like, hey, this is real. This I gotta repost. This I gotta know. It gives them the wrong expectation, even though it might not be the content creator's fault. It's just something which we might have to, help out with on a broader level. We just all contribute to it by helping out. I don't know. That was it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe, and I will definitely see you guys again in another crypto video soon.